I've struggled my whole life with mental illness, mostly my adult life. And the depression, definitely the worst. I had to leave my school at Penn State, no job, just kind of struggling with suicidal thoughts, self-harm urges. I've been in mental hospitals, inpatient and outpatient programs, on tons of meds. So things got pretty hopeless. And then in 2019, in December, it was towards the end of the year, I was at Giant. I was at the grocery store, and I saw on the back of a cart like this little ad for Dr. DePew, and it's like ketamine therapy, which I'd never heard of, but I was so desperate at that point, I just called, and that's kind of how I found Keystone Advanced Therapies. I definitely had been struggling. It was in 2015 I went into a mental hospital for the first time by choice. That's when I really thought I needed help, but the help that I was getting wasn't that great. I mean, it wasn't anything on their end. It was just me, my chemical makeup, whatever causes depression. And the meds I was on, it takes a long time to find the right combo sometimes. And things were just getting worse. They weren't really being treated. And then I even started looking into electroshock therapy. Things were that desperate. Around Thanksgiving of 2019, I had been in the mental hospital, and that was like that last time I was there. It was pretty bad, and by the time I saw the ketamine therapy, I was willing to try anything. I mean, that sounds pretty extreme, ketamine therapy, when you first hear it, and electroshock therapy, that's also like so extreme. So it's just like I was so desperate. And when I met with Dr. DePew for our consult for the ketamine, I learned a lot more about what it was, and I really learned that I do need help because there's a lot better life I could be living. Back in 2019, when I first started seeing Dr. DePew, we were in a completely different office. Everything was experimental, and it was really great actually working with the doctor at that level because we got to know each other personally, one-on-one. And that has stayed true to this day, 3 years later. All these patients in this great office, I still feel I can work one-on-one with him, and the staff is just the same. I have gotten, after the first 6 infusions, which is how ketamine starts when you're getting treated with it, you get like 6 infusions, and then you get boosters after that as needed. I noticed, it took a little bit, but I noticed that I wasn't having suicidal thoughts as much. I was able to get off some of my meds that I'm on. I was able to drop down to therapy just once a week, and I haven't been in the psych hospital since. I haven't self-harmed, so ketamine's made a real big difference. This place has been the first place that I felt like a treatment's actually worked and has been long-term. I actually fell into a depression a couple weeks ago. It's obviously not ever going to be cured, and things were really bad. I was falling back into the same suicidal thoughts and just everything that my personal depression is. And I called here and just said, hey, I need help. And they said, come on in. And I got an infusion on the spot, and they worked with me to figure out a custom care plan, whether it was texting them like off hours. They would sit with me during the infusions. They would talk with me after them. I was able to message them on their app. And over the course of the last few weeks, I've really seen a rapid change in my depression, and I'm very grateful for that. Long term, with ketamine, it's interesting. We get that bulk of infusions, and then you get boosters. So with the boosters, they can kind of be whenever you want or need them. If, like what happened with me when I fell back into my depression, we initially went for just a booster, and then we realized it was a lot more serious, so we did, multiple treatments, which is great because you can customize it, which is pretty cool. And but long term, and what I experienced over the last couple of years after my first initial treatments and getting better, is boosters, which can be every couple months or weeks. But for me, I got to every 3 months, every 4 months without needing any ketamine. And then, so long term would be probably no ketamine, or just coming in as needed, maybe once a year. Just, it would be no mental hospitals. It would be no self-harming. It would be getting a job. It would be, or going back to school, just getting back on my feet, volunteering. It's stuff that I've been starting to be able to do again. I was really struggling. I might have tried electroshock therapy, but I feel like I would either be going in and out of mental hospitals still. Nothing would have changed. Maybe try new meds. Nothing really new out there to try. And then eventually, I feel like I would have just given up. So honestly, they've saved my life. I would say reach out to Dr. Depew and have a consult. Learn more about ketamine, what it can do for you. Evaluate what you're doing now. Is it working? Are you happy? Are you in danger? There's a lot of things. But meeting with Dr. Depew, getting a consult, just coming in. You don't have to get the infusion, but at least see what options there are. Reach out for help. To be at that place, to be at your worst with depression or any mental illness, is the lowest you can be. You can't function. It's not a life. And I think it was the best thing I could have ever done for myself, to reach out for that help, that next level. I mean, it's easy to go in and out of psych hospitals. It's easy to just be thrown around in the system and kind of have that, take a step back in your care and not be proactive and just let meds be thrown at you and just let's try new things. And that's easy. It's not easy actually trying a new treatment maybe you haven't heard of before. But it's also not working if you're still stuck in that same cycle of suicidal thoughts or urges or attempts or things. So it definitely is, it's hard, but what else are you going to do?